Life Til Lager! No Life Til Lager!
Welcome to No Life Till Lager, a show about lager beer, the brewers who make it, and we that drink it. This is a conversation between two people over one pint. My name is Adam Zuniga. I'm a failed master Cicerone. I'm part of the creative team behind the Six Most Metal Breweries and Beer Like and Das Movie. My guest today is Jake Atkinson, co-founder, co-owner at Human Robot Brewery in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Cheers and welcome, Jake.
Cheers to you, Adam. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. This is a first for No Life Till Lager, and part of what makes it so special for me, we've never met before. I've never had your beer before, so thank you for joining me here and
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
Before we roll on, it's worth mentioning, even though I don't know you, I do know the city of Philly. I think it's going to be an important character in this story. Some of the best
Sure it
nights,
will be.
some of the best nights of my life, Decibel, Metal, and Beer Fest in Philadelphia.
Okay. Nice.
Not without consequences. There are definitely some incriminating photos of me outside of Kung Fu Necktie on someone's hard drive somewhere. But I love Philadelphia. I think I spent most significant years of my life in New York City to date.
Okay.
But I think a lot of people still move to Philly looking for cheaper living, creative expression,
still going
creative
on.
opportunity. Yeah.
It's absolutely still going on. Yeah. And it'll
Yeah.
continue, I'm sure.
All right. So here's to the city of Philly. And before we move forward, tell me about the beer in your hand. I do believe we're drinking the same thing.
Yes. So we both have Tamavi 13. This is our dark Czech style lager. Very proud of this beer. It hits a really good balance. It's not too roasty while being, jet black. And a lot of these dark lagers can be a little too roasty, a little too astringent. So we're really proud that we can hit a good balance on this beer. Like even a little bit of hoppiness can shine through without overpowering. It's just a really easy beer to drink, especially when you look at it. You're like, "Oh, this dark, thick beer," but as you can see, it's quaffable, if you will.
Quaffable quaffable indeed.
Yeah.
You're speaking to the choir. This is my favorite style of beer for all the reasons you just
Nice.
mentioned. I mean, it's still technically morning here on the West Coast, so
Yeah.
this is a perfect follow up to my coffee. But I can begin the day and I can end the day with this beer.
You really can. It goes with everything. It's just a wonderful beer.
Infinitely versatile, infinitely
Mhm.
satisfying. Yours has this really lush malt character.
Yeah.
The minty Saaz hops, unmistakable. And most importantly, yeah, you hit jet black without
Mhm.
having to kind of salt and pepper it with some roasted barley. So it's not
Yep.
overly roasted, it's not overly
Mhm.
astringent.
Exactly.
You nailed it, man. So thanks
Thank
for
you.
starting me off right.
Absolutely.
So moving right along, I want to talk about the human, and then I want to talk about the robot. I
All
want to
right.
get to know you, Jake, and then the machine that is Human Robot. So tell us
Got you.
who you are, where you're from, other jobs you've had, what led you to gradually turn this passion into a profession. Who is Jake
Got you.
Atkinson?
I am Philly born and raised, so but I've also lived a lot of other places in my life. Um, Prior to beer, I was in weed.
Ah,
Uh, so I was, I lived in California for many years and grew weed commercially there and met a lot of people in the beer industry. Weed and beer obviously go along, very well. So I was always into craft beer since I turned 21, and I met so many people through the weed industry in the beer industry. So I've, amassed this huge Rolodex of contacts. And as weed became more legal and less lucrative, I decided to fully pivot into beer. Started out doing beer sales, and kind of just lurked in the background for, God, 10 years, just learning, soaking everything up, trying to understand what mistakes not to make. And then eventually I got together with my partner, Kenny, who owned a a pretty famous beer bar in Philadelphia called Memphis Tap Room, which was kind of an institution for 15 years.
Nice.
And he wanted to kind of get away from the restaurant industry. So we started Human Robot and then brought on another partner, Chris Roller, and then got our head brewer, Andrew, and he's a full partner as well, which is great, which is a very important thing to me, that the brewer, has skin in the game and is
Yeah.
taken care of properly. Yeah, and that's kind of how it started. Me and Kenny just did it. I don't know.
You did it, and you're
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah, and our secret was finding a brewery that had already gone out of business, so we didn't have to build a brewery, and that is the hardest thing to do, and I don't even know how people do that. It's crazy to me. God bless them, and if they can do it, but it's a scary thing to build a brewery.
Wow. Okay, so first of all, I love it that your background is in weed. You're right, there is a parallel between the two,
There
and
absolutely is.
this used to be, I think, kind of an ongoing subject, and maybe it's worth reintroducing it to new beer drinkers, to younger generations, because I think if you like, first of all, just that kind of mellow, calm high, a
Mhm.
good pint of some quality craft beer that's not over the top can
Mhm.
also take you there. But there's also just a lot of characteristic aromas and flavors from hops that you also get in
Absolutely.
marijuana.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we do that
Um,
a lot.
yeah, and the sales side, which I think is invaluable if you've done sales for different breweries,
And I
um,
worked for a distributor,
and a distributor.
so
Ah,
yeah, so I knew instantly I never wanted to be with a distributor. We don't distribute. We sell everything direct to consumer.
you're
Uh,
self-distributed. Okay.
yeah, we have a couple restaurant partners just to kind of, keep our name out there. One or two beer stores that we sell to, but otherwise we are direct to consumer, and that was always going to be the model. I would go to Treehouse back in the day and see them make hundreds of thousands of dollars in a day and said,
Yeah.
that's the model. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you kind of oversee, have a hand in sales and marketing at Human Robot?
Yeah, I kind of do most of like the marketing. I do all the sales, all the marketing, all the day-to-day operations. Andrew's our head brewer, and I let him, focus on that. Kenny, my partner, he does all of our like festivals, and he's our traveling guy. So if you're ever out and see Human Robot at a festival, you cannot miss Kenny. He's For a 61-year-old, he's got more energy than me times three. It's
Oh,
he's amazing, and
well,
you'll see him, you'll know him.
forever young, and you
Yeah.
are Philly born and bred. Your partners as well. Do you all have Philly
Yep.
kind of in your roots?
Kenny, I live in Fishtown now. Kenny's born and raised in Fishtown as well his entire life. My partner Chris, born and raised Philadelphia. Andrew was born in Connecticut, but he's been in Philly for the last 30 years. So we're all true Philadelphians for sure.
So I think what everyone wants to know is Geno's or Pat's, or are those even part of the
Yeah,
conversation?
right. I
Yeah,
mean,
you.
if I had to choose one, it would be Pat's. Yes.
What
But
gives
any
Pat's
true
the edge?
Philly doesn't eat that. They don't go to Cheesesteak Vegas. Yeah.
Cheesesteak Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking to my night at Decibel Metal and Beer Fest over multiple years, yeah,
Hmm.
I think I got lost somewhere in between Geno's and Pat's, which is hard to
Got
do
you.
since they're right across the street from one another.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Festivals are going to be a big part of this conversation as well because I
Got
know
you.
you have Logjam and Five coming
Hmm.
up. But
Hmm.
likewise, before we get there, so you started speaking to the robot, to the machine, to who Human Robot is. What space did you take over from a brewery that was there before?
So it was called St. Benjamin's Brewery. And the cool thing is our head brewer now, Andrew, was their head brewer. And they they brewed some good beer, but their owner meddled too much in the brewery and
Hmm,
told them too much more like what he wanted to do. He had no brewing experience. He had sold a website for many millions of dollars and decided, I want to open a brewery,
yeah.
which is what you see so many times. And people need to understand it's a business that you actually need to know how to run. Like I said, I lurked for 10 years just figuring things out. And so many people are just like, well, I like beer. It's like if you're like, I like burgers. Like you can't just become McDonald's. It just doesn't work like that.
Yes,
You have to
sir.
put in the time and you have to learn. So he didn't learn. And then, they went out of business within 5 years, but they had such a little cool brewing system that it was tough for us to find a brewer to operate it.
Hmm.
So I had talked to Andrew about maybe coming in to consult with someone, this, that, and the other thing. He said, dude, can I just do it? I said, I'd love that. And then we just kind of let him run because in the beginning, it wasn't like we were going to be some lager powerhouse. Like hazy IPA was king.
Ah,
So I was like, you got to brew these hazies. He's like, well, can I brew like a Polo Tamami? I'm like, yeah, dude, whatever you want to do. Like, cool, cool. And then I had the beer and I said, holy shit. What have I been doing? What have I been drinking? I
yeah,
can't believe that lager can taste like this.
yeah.
And then I had Hallertau Pils, and I haven't had an IPA since.
Ah, I love that holy
You
shit
know?
moment.
Yeah, it was like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is
Nice.
what we're doing. And well, I mean, we still do IPAs. We still have fruited kettle sours. I mean, we are running a business. I have to, you know, put, people in the seats. But to lean into lager, it wasn't a plan, but we were able to pivot and learn and know what we do best. And that's what Andrew does best. And now we're enjoying that. And I mean, I'm loving it.
That's exceptional. So, Human Robot, founded when? 2020?
Yes, we opened 6 weeks before COVID.
6 weeks before COVID.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
probably a whole other conversation, but the
It
fact
was,
that you've survived,
I mean, people did drink a lot
yes.
during COVID. But yeah, that was tough. I mean, we literally closed 6 weeks after we opened. We converted a window that we had to like a to-go window and served beer outside, and did some delivery, and just tried to do anything. And the way we saw it was, if we could get through that, we can get through anything. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, hell
So
yeah.
it was a very thrown right into the fire situation.
Ah,
But we made it.
yes, you did, and you're right. If you can survive that, you can survive
Hmm.
anything. Yeah, people drank a lot during COVID, and we're kinda still dealing
Yeah.
with the aftermath and the after effects of that.
Yeah.
Um,
Seriously.
but shit, man, builds character. The fact you opened in 2020,
Hmm.
Log Jam and your Lager Festival, I think it's the 5th year coming up, so that
It's the
means you would have
fifth
started
one.
in 2021.
We did because we had to have an outdoor festival. That was the only way people could get together to drink.
Ah,
So we said, let's do a lager fest. And it wasn't just in a parking lot in our neighbor's place, the first log jamming.
well,
There's like 30 breweries. Yeah, it was small and hot and cool.
listen to that, friend. So there is some positive out of a negative, some good
Exactly.
out of COVID
Hmm.
and the pandemic that has
Hmm.
continued to grow and rise ever since.
Exactly.
Tell us about the name Human Robot when you first opened pre-pandemic. What does it
Uh,
mean?
the name, it came from a Daft Punk concert I went to in 2007. I
You're a
don't
Daft
know.
Punk fan.
I am, and I don't know why it always just stuck to me. And then when I told it to Kenny the first time, he's like, "That's the stupidest name ever, but I love it for some reason."
Yeah.
And it just like went. It's just always been in our mind. And then it was funny. It was at Metal. Was it Metal Beer Fest or was it opening tap for Philly Beer Week? But Rob Todd was there, and we asked him what he thought, and he's like, "I love it." And then that was it. We're like, "It's Rob Todd approved. We're going with Human Robot."
Oh, nice. So
Yeah.
Rob
So Rob
Todd,
Todd had a hand in that.
this is the mind behind Allagash, and he knows something about a
Yes.
name that'll stick. So,
Exactly.
and for that matter, you've done Decibel Metal and Beer Fest before.
Yes, we've done it every year. This past year we actually did a glitter beer, which is something we would never do.
A glitter beer.
We did, and it was actually our brewer's idea because it was so ridiculous, and because it's Metal Fest, we're like, let's do this. Like it's
Let's make
something we
it
would
pretty.
never do, but let's
Let's
do
make it
something
glam metal. Yeah.
ridiculous. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man.
So we're
Okay.
not that serious.
Well, no good brewery takes themselves too seriously. They take their
Exactly.
beer seriously.
Yes, the beer's very serious, but our egos low, and yeah, we are here to have a good time. I mean, is what it's about.
That's healthy. Why do you
Hmm.
think so many breweries struggle between sales and marketing, between owners and brewers and their production team. You spoke to that from the outset to the brewery you
Hmm.
took over the space from. Just why do you think I've had multiple sales and marketing jobs at multiple breweries. I've
Yep.
never failed to see that dynamic within the brewery, between breweries and distributors. Why do you think there's a constant personality clash, and how did you all overcome that?
I think that starts with ego. And a lot of brewery owners want to impose their will. Like, for instance, like we don't even have a brew schedule. Like, I don't care what you guys are brewing. I already know you're going to brew something good,
Yeah.
so just brew what you feel like doing that day or that week. We literally just schedule out a week in advance and kind of just do what we feel. And there's no reason for me to meddle. I stay in my lane. The brewers know what's good and we obviously collaborate and speak on things all the time. And it's just a completely open office where we can always talk to each other. We also don't have meetings. That's like a rule of ours. No
Good.
meetings.
Nice.
Our meetings are us having a beer at the end of our shifts, hanging out, talking organically. And
Yeah.
that's when we go through things because nobody likes going to a fucking 9 a.m. meeting on Monday. Nothing gets done. People just talk around each other and nothing ever happens and you just piss people off. So
Yeah.
we try and just keep it natural. And, again, we've all been doing this for a long time. So we have experience. Andrew's been brewing for 15 years. Kenny's been in the beer business 25 years. I've been in the business now 15 years. So there's a lot of experience there. And we all just have no ego. We don't give a shit. Like, we're just here to have a good time. Like, it's awesome to be able to have a job and actually enjoy it. And no one's like, oh, I got to go to work. Like, we all are having a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, what I take from that is, so let the ego go, kill the
You
fucking
have to.
meeting culture. I'm with you.
It's none of that shit works. Nothing gets done. We do what we feel. It's all feel.
You do what you
Um,
feel, and you ultimately let your people, your crew, your team do what they do
That's
best.
what they're there for. That's why he's a professional brewer. I'm a professional, sales and marketing. And so that's what I do. And
Yeah.
Kenny's a professional partier. So that's what he
Yeah, it's good for Kenny. Oh, and you said from the very beginning, so you're not an all lager brewery, but you definitely lead with lager. You
for
started
sure.
brewing more. I mean, you still do ales, you still do
Yep.
sours, you still do
Absolutely.
IPAs, but you've
Yep.
been lager led from the start, and that was creative
Yes.
direction from your brewers and your brewing team,
Yes,
correct?
absolutely. Yep. He was
Yeah,
like, I want to do. Well, that was the funny thing. It went back to that Polo Tamavi, our half dark lager.
yeah,
He was like, I want to brew this. It's probably going to be on tap. It's going to take us 6 months to get rid of it. And I'm like, cool, man. And we sold through that beer in like 3 weeks. And we were like,
mm,
whoa, like, is this like, can we actually sell lager? Because I mean, when I was in sales, to sell lager, I would have to like force it on people. They'd be like, well, I want 6 kegs of IPA. And I'm like, you got to take 1 keg of lager.
yeah.
And now, like, we've flipped that. Like, if I sell to places, they're like, well, I want all the lager. I'm like, you got to take a case of IPA.
Look at how much that has changed just in the
Right.
course of the last 5 years. And
Yeah. Like, we're not talking a lot of time here.
but your brewer, I mean, clearly there was some foresight, some instinct that you saw this coming. I love that you led it by taste. That
Mm
this is what we like to brew. This is
hmm.
what
Mm
we're
hmm.
going to brew. This is what we're going to sell. And now, how many locations do you have total? I know Human Robot is centered on North Fifth Street. How
Yep.
many satellite tap rooms?
We have 4 operating right now. We're opening our 5th in a month or two.
And do you brew at any of the other sites, or
We
is it
we have
all?
2 breweries. The one brewery in Kensington, and then we have another brewery in the suburbs of in a town called Jenkintown, and that's
Ah,
like a 7 barrel brewery there.
nice. At
Um,
at each Human Robot location, does lager outsell IPA?
it generally yes.
Mhm.
Saturdays, like it's IPA and Splash, which is our fruited kettle sour.
Mhm.
Will like sometimes outdo the lagers, but that's also because there's only 2 IPAs and 1 splash and 9 lagers. So
Yeah.
if I said like if you talked all the lager, yes, the lager always outsells it. A certain brand does not, but yeah, like typically if we have 13 taps, 9 are lager.
Nice. So
It's great.
speaking to being lager led, if not an all lager brewery, if the ratio is typically 9 lagers to 1 IPA, that speaks volumes.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, and just on behalf of each location, on behalf of your brewers and your production team, I know you all make every effort to work with like local ingredients or producers when possible, domestically produced ingredients.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us anything else just particular about your equipment, your setup, your brewing process? What makes lagers kind of unique and distinct from human robot that will lead consumers and customers and fans to reach for it 9 times out of 10 versus the IPA on tap?
I would say, it's obviously decoction, which is some big boogeyman word in the
We got to
brewing
get to that
industry.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people will tell you that's bullshit. Doesn't do anything. All the grains are modified now. Da 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 da. And all I say is, yeah, come taste our beer and go have a single infusion beer, and you tell me there's not a difference.
Oh.
Um, a very cool thing that we do have in our Jenkintown brewery is we have a direct fire mash mixer. So we do all of our Czech beer in the Jenkintown location because we have this direct fire mash mixer. What that does is, our brewery in Kensington is steam jacketed. That's what heats up the kettle.
Mhm.
So when you have this direct fire mash mixer, when you're pulling your decoctions, you can put flame right on it and kind of like burn the shit out of it,
Oh,
which
I
is
see.
what you're trying to do with decoction without scorching it. So you're creating a Maillard reaction for color, for flavor. If people don't know what a decoction is, it's literally just taking a piece of, the mash, putting it in the kettle, a small amount, boiling it or burning it, and then adding it back. And this develops flavor and layers of flavor. And again, like people can say it's bullshit, but I mean, it's not. The proof's in the
Yeah.
pudding, you know?
You know what?
Um,
I usually save this question for the end and I ask people decoction, yes or no, yay or nay. One answer, one word reply. It never ends up being one word. That's not
no,
fair.
of course not.
But in the question of decoction, then you would clearly say yes, and you would say the proof is in the taste. And this also
Yes.
speaks to the human element of human robot,
Hmm.
just in terms of having a direct fired kettle or just
Yep.
using that. Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
it really, like, if you look at our Czech 10, for instance, like, without that direct fire, it would look like our Hallertau pills. It would be more yellow, but now it gets this orange color to it, and it looks beautiful. And I mean, that's what it's about. And, and we like to experiment with it, and there's just lots of fun things we can do. And we've been having fun with lager, which you weren't allowed to do 10 years ago.
well, I know, but now everything's changed. So
Yeah, we're trying to make lager cool. I mean, that's the whole fucking point of the milk tube, man. You know what I mean?
yeah. Oh man. So we got to get to that as well. But at least in the discussion of in the ongoing raging debate of to decoct or not, you clearly say yes.
I say yes, but then again, Dan Suarez is making fantastic beer, and he's all single infusion.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be said for that, and like God bless him, because I mean this beer's fantastic, and it's amazing to me that he can do that with single infusion. So like it's not a one thing works for everyone. It's how your system is, how you're brewing. There's a lot of variables there, so it's not like you have to decoct, but that's one thing that makes our beer special, I think.
Well said. In recent episodes, I've gotten a no based on sensory profile. I've gotten a no based on production methods. And I think one of the best answers so far, I've gotten a yes saying, there's a variety, if you were cooking, there's a variety of techniques you can use. So you don't
Hmm.
necessarily always want to rule out one over the other, just depending on what
Absolutely
you're
not.
making.
No.
And shout out to Suarez, your neighbors in upstate New York.
Yeah.
Big fan of Suarez Brewing
Yeah.
as
Good
well.
peoples
So
too.
yeah, yeah, hell yeah. Okay. So how many locations total did you say?
5.
5. And if you're centered there on North 5th Street, can you just kind of take us on a quick tour of the neighborhood, a walk around Philly? Tell us also how that has influenced Human Robot, who you are, where you are. Why was a brewery founded 5 years ago, 6 weeks before the pandemic, that was ultimately going to become a leading lager brewery in Philadelphia? What is it about the people, the place, and the culture that Human Robot is there?
Again, like me and my partners have been a part of the Philly brewing community for a long time.
Hmm.
So we've made a lot of connections. We know all the players. It was always going to be a Philadelphia-based brewery. We had actually bought a different building in Kensington to build a brewery, and then we started running the numbers. I was like, I don't have $2 million, and I don't want to go in that much debt either. So let's find
Yeah,
a brewery that's
yeah,
done, and this one fell into our laps. And that's kind of how it's gone since. So like we have a location in South Philly. That was a tasting room that somebody else had that failed that we took over. So we just walked in, slapped name on the door, boom, Human Robot South Philly. We
nice.
just we just bought a brewery in Brewery Town, which is like kind of northish Philly. It was the old Crime and Punishment Brewery, fabulous brewery, but he was brewing in a row home and he did it for 10 years and it killed him.
Ah,
So he's like, I can't brew in a row home anymore. So we were able to purchase that and then put a tasting room in there. And basically, we're just trying to have a nice little radius around the city.
yeah.
Jenkintown, same exact thing. Someone built this amazing brewery, and he unfortunately only lasted 3 months. Three
Mm,
months. It took him 2 years to build it out. And nice guy, knew what he was doing, but didn't at the same time. So it's unfortunate that these people failed, but we've kept that alive, and it's at least good that all their hard work doesn't just go for nothing. So we've been able to
yeah.
take advantage of that.
So
Um,
what I'm hearing, is just there is a deep rooted brewing history in
mhm.
Philadelphia that is
Well,
still
the first
alive.
lager in America was brewed here, man.
Ah, is that
Right?
actually true?
Yeah, right down the street from our brewery. Yeah,
And what?
John Wagner. The very first American lager was brewed 5 blocks away from us.
Oh,
Yep.
well, look at that. I learned something today.
Mhm.
There is a sense of living history when you walk through Philly, when you walk through New York, a vibrant history that is still
Mhm.
ongoing to this day. So I love it that you're part of a rich brewing tradition there, and there is
Yes.
clearly still a thirst for beer in
Absolutely. Yeah.
Philadelphia. That's what I'm
Everyone's
hearing.
saying like, oh, that no one's drinking beer anymore, but like they are. It just they're not drinking shitty beer. Sorry.
Yeah. No, no, I will drink to that. I will drink to that.
Yeah, I don't mean to throw shade, but there's a lot of shitty beer out
Yeah, man.
there.
No, produced on a larger scale and smaller scale for that matter.
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
because something is craft doesn't mean it's always good. And just because something is done
Exactly.
consistently on a large scale doesn't mean it's good
Mhm.
either. Can you speak to the term economies of scale gets thrown around a lot in the beer industry? And I feel like
Mhm.
most people don't know what it means. So the fact that you are opening up multiple breweries, multiple tap rooms, kind of surrounding the city of Philadelphia,
Mhm.
does that ultimately help your business because you're producing more, selling more, you have more routes to market, more channels to your
Yeah,
customer?
the whole thing is that we can be direct to consumer, and that's the whole thing. If I
Mhm.
sell a keg to distribution, I'm going to make like $40 on that keg. If I
Mhm.
can sell it over one of my bars, I'm going to make $400.
Yeah.
So it's pretty simple math.
Yeah.
The more bars I can have to sell my beer, the better we can do. And that was one of the things when Andrew was at St. Benjamin's. They were the same size brewery, but they were trying to be built for distribution. And it doesn't make sense with a 10 hectoliter brewery. Like you're not a distribution brewery.
Yeah.
You're doing triple brews to sell a bunch of kegs, and you've made what, $1,000 on a week. It's just none of it makes any sense. So we were very clear about trying to focus on the tasting room model. Um, and like I said, we do distribute to restaurants, and they're just restaurants that I want to be able to get reservations at. That's basically
Ah,
our model.
it's good to have friends, man. It's
Yes,
good to have friends in high
exactly.
places.
That's our
Um,
model.
and what else is part of your tap room experience? Do you offer food on site? Is it consistent
It
kind of
varies.
human robot branding, or does each one kind of have their own character, their own personality?
Most of them, I mean, we have our brand. And so as far as let me start with, so with food, I don't want to run a restaurant. So like our Kensington location, we rent the kitchen to a guy and he crushes there with like Philly style sandwiches.
Mhm.
Jenkintown, same thing. We rent that to a James Beard award winning Mexican restaurant. They crush it. It's awesome. I don't have to worry about a thing. South Philly, there's restaurants surrounding the whole place, so you can just bring your food in, do whatever you want.
Nice.
So yeah, I don't want to deal with food. It's a lot easier just to pour beer.
Yeah.
And as far as branding, we have our branding and we just kind of do different colors at each place. But as far as the taste room experience goes, you know, other than the liquid, glassware, glassware,
Yeah.
not enough. If you go into a brewery and they serve you a beer in a shaker pint, you should throw it against the wall
Just
because
walk the
that's
fuck out.
ridiculous. It's
Yeah.
fucking ridiculous. You give me a mixing glass, you're a fucking brewery. like, like, have
Oh,
respect.
you know what? You are, God, you are taking me back, not just to Philly, but to New York. I love how direct East Coasters are. You're right, man. Throw it against the wall, burn it down, walk
It's
out.
just like, what are you doing? Like, that's
This,
not a proper glass to serve beer in. I understand that high volume restaurants need to be able to stack glasses and they have to be able to deal with multiple things. You're a brewery, act like it.
yeah,
Get proper glassware for every single beer that you have. So we're obsessed with proper, clean glassware. Every beer has its own glass. It's going to be perfectly beer clean and it's going to be poured perfectly every time. Every time. That's the main thing with our bartenders. Pour a perfect beer. I don't care if it takes 5 minutes. I don't care if you got to pour four out. Make it perfect. That's what we do.
nothing less than perfection.
Yep.
This came up on my last episode with Geist House. They're making a huge investment in proper glassware, clean glassware, proper
It's
pouring techniques. There's nothing more unattractive, you're right, than being handed a dirty shaker pint, no
it's
matter what beer is
unbelievable.
in it. Yeah,
And like I can maybe understand at a bar, but at a brewery, like just stop. Just
yeah,
stop. That's
yeah.
not like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Supremely agreed.
Yeah.
Something else we have to talk about, and
Hmm.
speaking of your tap rooms, and speaking of Philly twist on doing this, but what is a milk pour for those who don't know? And also, frankly, for myself, I've never even had one. So tell us, what is a milk pour, and tell us what is a Philly milk tube, for that matter,
Okay.
because I think
So
that's trademarked by Human Robot at this
you're
point. So,
goddamn right it is.
what's the story?
So milk pour is a traditional Czech thing. That what you nobody in Sausalito has a Lucas faucet.
Oh, giving away my location, my top secret
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Sausalito
dox you.
location.
I didn't mean to dox
No,
you.
no, no. You know what? You're right. I don't think anyone in Sausalito has a Lucre faucet. And frankly, it would be hard to find one going into San Francisco. You know, what is
Really?
happening? I don't have to drive far. I could go visit Geist House in Sacramento and I could get
Okay.
a milk pour from a Lucre faucet, and that
Got you.
kind of experience. But you know
Yeah.
what? Like, also, frankly, since I left the East Coast and kind of made the move to California, this has been on the rise. It hasn't. This has been on the rise, kind of in the Northeast since I left, and selectively around the West Coast. But I've never actually experienced it. It's not a new thing; it is a historical thing. But tell us, like,
Yeah. I
what is
mean,
a milk
so
pour?
so basically that Lucre faucet, the side pull faucet, can regulate the flow of the beer.
Yeah,
When you just crack it, it makes the beer kind of like go through these screens violently and it just creates a dense, milky foam.
yeah,
And so the Mliko pour, basically what you're doing when you're doing a proper pour is you're building that foam and then you're putting the liquid underneath the foam. So that way the liquid never touches the air. So it's
hmm,
putting like a protective layer on top of the beer. And that way, because we do tank pours too, straight from the tank, it's going tank to glass, no oxidation. It's perfect.
awesome.
So the Mliko pour is when you just do all of the foam. So during Logjam 1, we had a bunch of brewers, and one of them was a girl, Brienne Allen. You may know her as Rat Magnet.
Yes,
And she worked at that point. She worked at Notch. This was before she opened Sacred Profane, and she had us doing all these Mliko chugs of milk pours in a a half a liter Tubinger mug. And like, we're all just like, this is a lot, da, 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 da. So the next day, me and my partner Chris were like, what if we put it in a stange, What if we just did the foam in a stange?
In like a classic Kolsch glass,
Yes,
basically.
in a Kolsch glass.
Yeah.
And so we were like, this is kind of fucking great. And that was on a Monday. So I'm like, let's sell these for $2 on Tubes Day, and we'll call it a milk tube. And that, the next day comes and we're all doing. I'm like, man, this is fantastic. I call my lawyer. I'm like, I need to trademark something.
Oh, so you actually trademarked it.
Oh,
the
yeah,
Philly milk tube.
Oh, yeah. I own Milk Tube.
Yeah. Man,
I own Milk Tube.
I think your legacy is secure. Your legacy is set. Okay. So this isn't just some ongoing joke. Like, this is a serious...
I literally own it. Now, he yells at me for not defending the trademark. And I'm like, dude, I'm not a total douchebag. I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. I want to spread, I think it's funny. And I think it's great that other people do that. Because he's like, I saw this brewery's doing milk tubes over here. And I'm like, come on, man. So that's his job.
in the same way that, San Francisco can claim Anchor Steam and Anchor legitimately trademarked Steam as their own, Philly can say that Human Robot owns the milk tube, and if you disagree, you're like, just come fucking fight me over it.
I have it from the patent office. Come at me, bro.
So I think to anyone watching, it just looks like people are chugging like a glass of foam and don't understand kind of what that experience is.
They think it's like the Coors Light getting kicked at a kegger foam. It ain't that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and they're just like, oh, I'm going to burp. I'm going to this. I'm going to that. No, because it's so dense. It's like almost kind of milk-like. And because we do it with the dark Czech lager, it has this like chocolatey notes. Like, it's actually fucking delicious. And people, once they have it, they're like, oh, this is great, actually. And now it's kind of a rite of passage. Like, every time you come to the Robot, you look at the menu and you're like, oh, look, 4 tubes, you know what I mean? And then you figure out what you're getting, So it's like, and it's a very Instagrammable thing. And that goes back to like making lager cool.
Yeah.
This is a way to make it cool, to connect with the younger audience, because that's a lot of what the beer culture is missing, is out on the younger Instagram, TikTok kind of situation. Yeah. And this is a very Instagrammable thing. So it's been very good to get it out there.
It's very dramatic, right? It makes an impression. It becomes kind of a performance, a spectacle.
Yes, because we have the Kranz trays that they use for traditional Kolsch service.
Yeah.
And you'll bring out like 8 milk tubes, and then a table will be sitting there and be like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I want that. And then they try it and they're like, oh, it's actually good. It's not just a stupid gimmick, So that's what helps too. That it actually does taste good. It's not just a gimmick. It does taste good.
You're just basically tasting like beer in its most concentrated form, like both kind of the hop flavor, the malt flavor.
It's really cool.
You're not just inhaling air.
No, it's not anything like that at all. Like, you might have one little burp afterwards, but it's not like you're like, oh, I'm dying this whole time. Like, I had all this CO2. It's not like that at all. It's not like that at all.
You know what this actually reminds me of, and it's an excellent point, but the whole like split the G thing with Guinness that they've been enjoying a moment apart. So first of all, Guinness, it often, it is a very light and dry beer, but it gives a very dark and dense impression, right? And it's like, how do you? I do too.
I'm a Guinness freak, kind of.
How do you make this exciting again? With the heritage, with the history.
How do you get they've done? They've made an old thing cool again.
Yeah.
And that's a key. Yeah.
Well, here's to the Philly milk tube, and it's hard for me to get a milk pour anywhere around Sausalito or the Bay Area, so I just might have to travel cross country for that.
Does Moonlight not have a Lucre faucet?
You know what? They do have Lucre faucets, and shout out to Moonlight, because getting that Death and Taxes poured on a Lucre faucet,
I bet is
a transcendent fucking lager experience.
I absolutely believe it is.
But I don't think you can go there and necessarily, I don't think they have a milk pour on the menu. I don't know if you can even ask for it, but
I'm sure you could ask for it. They'd be like, oh, this asshole,
Yeah.
I'll be like, where were you, just in Philly?
Yeah, I just came from Human Robot, Yeah. Where's my milk tube? That is fucking great. So, let's move on to Log Jammin'
Yep.
5 because I
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure to get this episode out into the world before
Yep.
the festival happens. And you spoke a little bit to the history, like you had to get outside. It was
Yep.
COVID, it was pandemic times. But can you speak more to why the festival was founded as a lager festival and how it's evolved over the years?
Well, like, I don't think there was any lager festivals at that point. So that kind of was the point. Like, there's not any festival just concentrating on lager. Like, you've had like festival of barrel aged beers in Chicago. You have tons of hazy IPA festivals, but I couldn't really remember any kind of lager focused festival. And then also the whole point of Log Jammin' is the Michael James Jackson Foundation.
Yes.
And we donate every single dollar that we make to the Michael James Jackson Foundation. They are a wonderful foundation, helping people of color break it into the brewing industry, whether it's through grants or other ways of money or just even connections. And that's very important to us because we were blessed. Like we've had these connections. We already knew all the people, but it's really hard to get into it, and it's really hard for people of color to get into it because it's just a different kind of industry. That it's always just been like kind of a white guy's world. Like it's just unfortunately what it is. So we
Hmm.
want to change that narrative and
Yeah.
open it up to everyone. So we're very it's just been a great thing to be able to have a mission. Like it's like we can have a good time, drink a bunch of lager, and it's for a really fucking good cause. A
Yeah.
really good cause.
Good beer, a good beer for a good cause and a good
Exactly. And
purpose.
it really makes a difference.
How did
Yeah.
that begin? Just the connection to the Michael Jackson Foundation for the advancement and education of people of color within the beer and brewing industry. I
Mm-hmm.
believe it was founded by Garrett Oliver.
It was.
What
And
is
we've known
the
Garrett forever. And I think our initial connection was maybe through Breeze. Breeze was a brewer at Other Half. Her name is Breeze Galindo.
hmm,
And now she's since left Other Half and she's opening her own brewery called Mi Luna in New York.
ah
She'll be at Log Jammin', and I believe she was our first kind of connection into that. And we just didn't want to just throw a festival for the sake of throwing a festival. Like it had to be a mission.
yeah,
And this was a perfect thing for us, and we couldn't have picked a better charity to help. And it's just been great. I'm
yeah.
hoping Garrett can make it this year. We'll see. He's a very busy guy.
Oh, hell yeah. So shout out to Garrett Oliver.
Yeah,
He has
absolutely.
respectfully declined being interviewed on No Life Till Lager by not formally declining. So I'm not giving up if you're listening, Garrett. But I love the connection to the Michael Jackson
Hmm.
Foundation. I love that you were founded in lack of another lager festival along the East Coast at the time. And you're right, there's not a lot out there.
Yeah, they now there's a couple for sure, but at that time, and this is only 5 years ago, I don't think that there really was
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah, we have Lagerville with Figueroa Mountain here in
Hmm.
California. Now there's a little beer fest. I want to say what
Is
that
that
is
good
with
word?
Good Word
Yep.
Brewing
Yep.
in Duluth. But you're right, there's still not a ton on the landscape.
He
But what's
started the
interesting?
same year as us, and Todd's a very good friend of ours. But yeah, they just did their 5th year. So I guess his was like a month before ours.
Oh, look at
So we
that.
were right about the same time. And he's a
Ah,
saint. We
yeah,
love Good
yeah.
Word.
No, great minds and good
Hmm.
people. We could say Oktoberfest in Germany was kind of the original
Hmm.
lager fest
Yeah,
internationally.
sure, right?
One thing that really impresses me, I'm sure you can find examples otherwise, but people always talk about how just kind of well run, well organized, and happy something like Oktoberfest is, despite just the sheer amount of drinking.
Hmm.
I bet people would say the same about Little Beer Fest. I bet they'd say the same about Lagerfest, and I bet they say the same about Log Jammin' because these aren't drunk fests. These are
No, you're not
festivals.
just having people coming to your table. What's the highest ABV you got?
Yeah, yeah,
None of
yeah,
that. These are
yeah,
all like professionals. All the customers are like, they're there for beer. They're not there to get fucked up. Like that's not
yeah.
the point. And a lot of places that is the point to get fucked up.
So, in my experience, the only festivals worth doing are the ones that are either run by a brewery or directly connected to a
Hmm.
brewer's guild. If it's a for-profit entity, a
I
private
we
entity,
Nope. Stay away.
Then the point is just to get drunk, to get fucked up. It's an
Yeah,
extended happy hour. Drink as much as you
exactly.
possibly can, as quickly as you can to justify the cost of admission.
It's yeah, and like we're not cheap. Like a VIP ticket for Log Jam, it's $155,
Yeah.
and you're only getting like beer under 5%. So like
Yeah.
you gotta know what you're getting into, but you're getting world class lager. Like we have people from everywhere coming in, and every year we have at least 10 breweries that have never poured in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania. So it's like a very
Nice.
cool thing that you can try stuff that you've never had before, and it's always like cool breweries that you've heard of and you haven't had. So like we get some cool guys in. It's pretty cool.
The fact that year over year there's now 100 breweries participating in
Ugh,
log jamming,
don't
that a
remind
hundred
me.
that 100 breweries have multiple loggers to offer, all within the range of 5%,
Mm-hmm.
give or take. That also just speaks volumes to the change and the
Absolutely.
shift in the craft beer industry in recent years. Tell us, I mean, I saw that grimace there talking about 100 breweries. Tell us about the logistics, just planning a festival like this, and tell us about the vetting. What's the vetting process? Do you approach breweries? Do they come to you? There's a
It's
lot of interest in this festival. How does it all
yeah.
work? How does it all
Well,
pan out?
Kenny's out there on the circuit doing all the other festivals. So really it's all the relationships he makes. Like to it's an invitational, so you have to be invited. And basically it's like, have we had your beer and are we friends? That's it. Because I have people hit me up all the time, and I'm like, I'm sure you're great. I don't know you, and I've never had your beer, so like I can't like I have to draw lines somewhere. Like I can't have
Yeah.
1,000 breweries at this, and it's crazy how many people hit us up like, hey, I would love to pour. And I'm like, I get that, but like I don't know you. Come hang out. Like let's forge a relationship. Let's become friends. That's what it's about. So like I said, Kenny's out there in the streets trying beer, meeting the people. So he's the one making the connections. And every festival he comes back, he's like, I got two more I got to add. So that's
Yeah.
basically how it's been growing. Is Kenny picks up 10 guys every year and is like, all right, here's 10 more. We got to put them in. Um,
Are
you
there
know,
more this year than ever before, or do you
yes, it's
routinely do? Yeah.
basically like it started with 30 and it's basically been like, then it went like 50, 60, 80, and now 100. So
Whoa.
it's got to end somewhere.
Well, we'll see if the cap is 100 or the cap is a
Yeah,
thousand.
we'll see.
Yeah. And
Next
just
year we might switch it up a little bit because CBC's in Philadelphia next year.
nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
but it's in May. So we're figuring like everyone's already going to be here. Maybe we'll do it during CBC to kind of, so help everyone out.
I think a double header with Craft Brewers Conference and Log Jam and Six
Yeah.
would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in terms of kind of logistics and planning an
Mm.
event like this, does a lot of that fall under your umbrella?
No, because we have to work with distributors because I can't bring in out of state beer.
Mhm.
So shout out to 31st and Wharton. They're like our main distributor partner in Philly that really, really helps us out. They bring in a truck that has like, it might have 30 draft lines on it.
Nice.
So that like helps a lot with logistics because I can just keep all those kegs in that truck and they can just pour them right out of the truck. So they help us bring a lot of the beer from out of market in. And yeah, I mean, look, it's a logistical nightmare, but we've made it work every year. Like,
Yeah.
gotten somewhat good at it, I guess.
Well, clearly, I mean, if it's 5 years running,
Yeah.
by the machine, by the robot, you're doing something right. Is it
Yeah.
so? 100 breweries, everyone pouring, I'm guessing, what, at least two beers, all loggers across the board.
Oh, it
Do
has
you?
to be lager.
Yeah.
Each brewery can have two people, which is kind of funny because like the capacity for or the event space is 1,200 people. 300 of it is staff.
Yeah. Ah.
Because people are always like, "Whoa, can I get a designated driver ticket?" I'm like, I can't do that. It doesn't work. Like I have
Yeah.
300 staff and it's 1,200 people capacities.
Oh, that's epic.
Yeah.
That is absolutely epic. And are there any just returning champions this year that have done it every year? Is there anyone new? Not to play favorites, just that you're
I'm
particularly
trying to
excited to
think.
meet and to try and to sample?
I'm very excited that Chris from Green Branch can come this year because typically, and I hate that this happened, but it did. It's been the same date as the Firestone Walker Invitational.
Ah, yes.
So that's kind of screwed us. This year we switched the date. So the Firestone Walker is May 31st, and we're June 7th this year. So we've been able to get a lot of people that are like, I've had to go to that. So I'm very excited that we get to have Chris from Greenbench there because he's also part of the MJF. And that's important for us to get people who are actually people of color brewing fantastic lager to the festival.
Yeah.
So we're really excited about that. I'm really excited to have Brockton beer. They are a black-owned brewery in Massachusetts. They are going to be coming for the first time. We're actually going to be doing a collab actually a couple weeks later for Barrel and Flow out in Pittsburgh. Later in August, that's a black-owned beer festival, and in order to be in it, you have to collab with a black-owned brewery, which is really cool too.
Yeah.
So we're excited to have them. Everywhere Brewing, where are they? Oregon or something? I don't know. I hear such great things, so I'm very excited to have their beer. I love the little breweries that we're able to get, like lesser known beer company. They're this small little brewery, and I think their lucre is literally attached like to the tank, like where
Nice.
you'd put like a Zwickle, like they just put a fucking lucre on there, and
Yeah,
that's how
nice.
you get the beer. It's so cool. I love them. So like it's cool to have these smaller lager focused brewery for that exposure because like they can't get out there. They're not distributing. People don't know who they are, but they get to try their beer and they're like, holy shit. Like Cohesion Brewery in Denver, Colorado, making
Yeah.
fantastic stuff, but they don't can any of it. They don't distribute any of it, but they come to Philly for log jamming, so everyone's able to have their beer. They'll send some kegs out to bars. So that's another cool thing that a lot of these breweries will bring beer for bars, so we drop a lot of beer in the city, and a lot of people can try different lager from all over the world like all week. So that's a really cool thing too.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I also won't name names, but you've got some No Life Till Lager alums, past and future, pouring
I'm
at this
sure.
festival. Just to see the passion and the enthusiasm on your face, in your voice, Jake. Again, just the best kind of festivals, and I think beer festivals have come under a lot of scrutiny in
Oh,
recent
they
years.
have.
Yeah, man. The best kind of festivals are run by brewers, maybe guilds
Mm-hmm.
for brewers.
Exactly. And that's what it's about. And that's also like the main thing. Like if you want to participate, the brewer or owner has to come and they have to pour for the first hour at least. So
Yeah.
that's very cool that they're there and everyone gets these interactions. And it's also cool for us as a networking thing because like we have this huge party on the Friday night before where it's just, 200, 300 brewers all getting together and it's just fucking mayhem and the Underbergs are flying.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely love it. And I think, the one exception to what I'll just say, is and was, in my experience, Decibel Metal and Beer Fest. But you know what? Speaking of my, the after party at Kung Fu Necktie, the problem there, the only problem is that it comes from a place of like good beer and good music,
Hmm.
but you're also drinking Imperial Stout and you're also
Yeah.
drinking triple IPAs. I don't know if you have any kind of cap or kind of alcohol limit, at log jamming, or if people can bring whatever they want so long as it's a lager.
So long as it's a lager, but nobody brings big beer, honestly. Like there's not
Yeah.
like Imperial Pilsners there. Like maybe there was one of something like that. But that's not what we want. Because we also give you like a 0.3 liter glass. Like you have like a real beer glass to drink out of.
Yeah.
So like people would be getting too messed up if that was crazy. Yeah. I mean metal, that's the other reason like we always do like a little beer for Decibel because everyone else is imperial stouts and triple IPAs. We're like, we'll do a 4.5% glitter beer. Look at these.
Yeah. And in so doing, you're changing the idea of what a metal beer can
Exactly.
be it glam metal. And, just this idea of what beer is, what craft beer is. Does it always have to be extreme? Does it always have to be an overload, just
No.
a flavor
Yeah.
bomb? Human Robot is contributing a lot to that dialogue, and just lager centric breweries, lager centric festivals. I
Hmm.
think, even though this has been growing for 5 years at Human Robot, it speaks to the present and the future of the craft beer
Hmm.
industry. So
I hope we can continue.
thank you for that.
Hmm.
And you're chugging right along, but, I see, a kind of like retro, nostalgic style on your labels and in your
Yes.
branding. Can you speak a little bit to that? Because I feel like there are a number of breweries out there producing lager beer, and I just think part of the reception it's getting is also people want some retro, some nostalgic element, something authentic, something simple in their beer,
Hmm.
because who knows what else they have to deal with in life, and somehow a lager beer with a little bit of nostalgia and sentiment, and the label reminds them of a simpler, better time.
Exactly. And
Is that
again,
the intention?
yeah, I mean, we just kind of got lucky with that again. This guy hit me up. His name's Jimmy Scantron. Uh, he just kind of cold emailed me like, "Hey, love your beer." We weren't even canning beer. We were about to, so I needed a designer, and I was like, "Yeah, sure. Why don't you give this? We're gonna do this Czech beer called Czech 10. Why don't you try it out?" And he sent me the label for Czech 10, and I was like, "Holy shit, dude, you knocked us out of the park." Like, all right, try Hallertau Pills. And then he sent us a little doggy. I'm like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And so he just kind of has carte blanche on the labels and does his thing, and then we collaborate on like all the merch and stuff like that, because you touched on it. It's the nostalgia, and like people a lot of our customers are like me. They're like mid 40s guys that like grew up in the 80s and 90s and had that connection. So we kind of tap into that a lot with our merch,
Yeah.
kind of playing off all that. And Jimmy just does awesome classic designs for our lager. Like we keep the lager very classic. The IPA will go a little crazy and do a lot of goofy shit, but the lager, we like classic old designs, and he's just knocked it out of the park for us. Like it's just we got lucky.
Yeah.
There's not much more to it. And we
Yeah.
just let him ride, just like the Brewers. Like you're good at this, go, and
It's
that's it.
awesome.
You know.
I appreciate just the simplicity and the transparency, because here again, just kind of like looking into a clear lager beer. There's nothing worse, when you can't tell what a beer is by its
Oh
label. When you
God, there's
can't and you
nothing.
can't understand it from the can. It's too
No,
obscure.
no. I mean, ours has a picture exactly what the beer is, human robot on the back. That's it. Very
Yeah.
simple. It's you need to know what the goddamn beer is, and so many people fuck that part up.
Yeah,
It's
man.
ridiculous. Like, how do you fuck up the
Uh
easiest part? Put the name of the beer on there
yeah,
with the
much
style.
agreed. Much
Yeah.
agreed. Well, I think we've learned a lot about the human. I think we've learned a lot about the robot. And I thank you for the preview of Log Jammin'. And
Yep.
once this episode launches, I'm almost certain the festival's going to be sold out, unless it is already. Can you speak
It's
to that?
not, but like, yeah, there's probably only 20 VIP tickets left, and there's probably like 100 general admission tickets left. It does always sell out, so if you're waiting, don't wait. It will sell out.
Yeah,
But yeah, I appreciate that. Are
yeah.
you not coming?
Next year, let's say a double header with CBC and
There
Log
you
Jam
go.
and six.
There you
For me,
go.
this would be worth the trip. And you're making me miss the fact that you're making me miss New York City, and the fact that I
Yeah,
never lived in Philly, just visited. So
it's
yeah,
great.
man. Maybe in future years.
Awesome.
A few last questions that I like to ask
Yes, sir.
everyone. We already addressed decoction, yes or no, and you say a resounding yes. I want to talk about NA beer and just kind of the dialogue around temperance and sobriety that's been on the
Yo,
rise
I'm
in
all
recent
for it.
years post COVID.
I'm all
Um,
for it.
do you have an NA option? Just your thoughts on this?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. A buddy of mine now works for an NA company, so we've had his stuff in. My buddy Chief Jeff, he's the owner of Industrial Arts. They're doing
Yeah,
fantastic NA beer. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I love NA Guinness. I love it
yeah.
because like it scratches that itch for me.
That's come up multiple times, and just the malt character of Guinness, kind
Yeah,
of, you
like
don't even necessarily realize you're drinking a
you really
non-alcoholic
kind
beer.
of don't,
Yeah,
So I drink that a lot because I got little kids. Like I can't be getting trash like I used to. I'm an old man. I also like, the hangovers like beat the shit out of me now.
mm-hmm.
It's not like it was when I was 30 and I could
Yeah,
just, do whatever all night and be fine the next day. I don't know how I would drink 9 IPAs and do whatever else I did.
yeah,
And
I
then
don't know how I would, and the truth is I don't even want to anymore.
Exactly. I don't miss it at all. So I'm all for NA. We serve it. We embrace it. I wish we could brew it. The only way to really make it good is you need like a $500,000 dealcoholizer. I mean,
Yeah,
this when they do the other ways, it just doesn't doesn't work that well. But like I said, Industrial Arts is doing fabulous NA stuff, so I'm here for it. I love it.
Shout out to Chief at
Yeah,
Industrial
Chief.
Arts. God. Met him at BCTC. Speaking of like beer
Ah.
festivals run
Oh,
by
I was
breweries.
probably right next to him. I was probably taking acid right next to him.
Nice. Also, great memories and good times. And
Oh, BCTC.
another example of a festival that could devolve into chaos, but somehow
Oh,
always just ended well.
it,
I was always amazed, you know.
I got good memories of BCTC, man. That was a good
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Well, shout out to Chief and
Yeah.
Industrial Arts for both the alk and the non-alk they're producing. And you know, I'm glad just that you. To me, that is also a part of what has led me to clean, low alcohol
Hmm.
lager beer. You
Yeah.
know, but I'm glad you have a non-alcoholic option in your tap rooms to
Absolutely.
scratch that itch and recognize
Absolutely.
the various degrees of quality within it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Celebrity loggers, and I think this is going to be particularly fun with you. But you know, there's a number on the market. We've seen Hulk Hogan, we've seen the Kelsey brothers, and I'm just curious, man. And Kelsey brothers, that kind of hits maybe close to home. But
I'm actually like kind of like Jason comes into our tasting room. Like his office is a block away, and I'm really good friends with his business manager.
oh no shit.
So yeah.
This might partially answer my question. I mean, I'm just kind of wondering what you think of the rise of these and the fact that they're loggers, but also just if you were going to brew a celebrity lager, who, with, and why?
I mean, we wouldn't. I tell you what, we did just. I just did an Instagram post on it. We just did a collab with Kevin Bacon.
What?
Yeah, we did 6 breweries in Philadelphia. Did a 6 degrees of fermentation. So it's for
Clever.
Kevin's foundation. And I thought that's pretty cool. So yeah, we're gonna get to party with him in like a couple weeks, and do this whole beer release. So, and he's a Philly guy. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't,
Um,
but I do now.
his grandfather actually designed the city. Edmund Bacon is his name. You can look
Oh
it up. He
no.
actually literally designed, like, was one of the designers of Philadelphia, like in the 50s. He's a big guy, big name
No
actually.
shit.
Yeah,
I
it's
learned
pretty
learned
cool.
something else
There
during
you
this
go, a little history
conversation.
lesson.
Yeah.
So we're doing that, which is cool. As far as like celebrity beer culture, like, look, anyone can contract brew beer and slap their name on it. So God bless them. It's not
Yeah.
something we're gonna do. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Uh no, much agreed. Most beer that is attached to someone some celebrity name is typically brewed by someone else somewhere else,
Yeah,
and they
I
don't
think
actually have a hand or influence within it.
no, I think Founders makes garage beer. I mean, I don't fucking care who makes Hulk Hogan's beer.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
don't know.
but I think Kevin Bacon, I mean, everyone knows Kevin Bacon, right? Six
Yeah,
degrees of separation, and that he has some Philly roots. That's an
it's
excellent
pretty
answer to
cool.
that
Yeah.
question. I'm glad it worked out. Is there anything else you would like to say or share, Jake? To anyone who's deciding what their first beer should be at 21, what their last beer should be at 101. Is there anything else you want to say or share on behalf of Human Robot?
I mean, no, come to Logjam and support the MJF. That's really, and have proper glassware in your fucking tasting room.
Oh, I think you
That's
just named, yeah, a holy trinity right there. So yes,
yeah.
come to Log Jam in 5, and then I'll be there at Log Jam in 6.
All right.
Support the Michael Jackson Foundation, a worthy
Yes.
cause, good beer for good people doing
Mm-hmm.
great things, and proper glassware. I
Proper
think you heard
glassware.
it. You heard it here from Jake. I will second and third that myself.
Yes. Thank
Here's
you.
to proper glassware
Thank you.
and a picture perfect pint of lager
Thank
beer
you.
at Human
Yes.
Robot. Jake, thank you so very
Of
much.
course. Happy to
Um,
have been here. Thank you for having me.
Grateful. Grateful to you. Grateful to Human Robot. This is the portion of No Life Till Lager that I say like us, follow us, subscribe to us. But the truth is, I honestly don't care. The only thing I enjoy about podcasting is really the fact that you can listen or not, you can turn it on or off. And
Mm-hmm.
anyone who's interested in lager beer and lager brewing and listening to us talk about it means the world to me. So,
Great.
thank you so very much to Jake, to Human
Thank you.
Robot, from No Life Till Lager. Help us hit the road and make a better kind of beer show. And I will say it, good night and good lager. Cheers to you, Jake. Thanks again.
Thank you. Cheers.
No life till lager.